Hello and welcome to this tutorial, and today I will show you how to keep your computer running smoothly. Or maybe you've noticed after you're using your computer for some months or years, you can see that the performance is sort of going down. So I'm going to show you how to reverse that and get that new PC smell back. So basically I'm going to be sharing with you some tips and some software you can use to achieve this. So as some of you might have noticed already, tip number one. So by the way, here I'm assuming you just restarted your computer without doing anything. So you've let it churn away and it's sort of loaded now. So tip number one, you can see I have a lot of crap on my desktop, and this will slow down your computer because all of these, every file and every folder on the desktop has to be sort of rendered by Windows. So every time you show the desktop, it goes through this process, like it's trying to load all the information from the files. So it's trying to load, for example, the thumbnails, trying to get what type of file it is, to get the right icon and so on. So all of these slow down your PC. So what you want to do is either not put a lot of stuff on your desktop. You just want to put the basics, like my computer, recycle bin, and maybe a few folders. You can put stuff in the folders. That's a lot better than just dumping stuff on the desktop like this. Or you can do something else, which is what I do because I don't really use the desktop that much. You can hide everything on the desktop, which also improves your speed. So what you do is you find an empty space, if you can find one, like here. Right click and then go to view. And here you see there's a show desktop icons. You can turn that off, and then you just get a clean wallpaper. So right there you'll improve your speed. So another thing you want to do, again, this is right after you've started your computer. You want to look at the notification area, which is the area here to the bottom right of your computer screen. You want to look at what's in this area and why is it there. Do you want it to be there? Do you need it do you need this program to load every time you start Windows? So you click this little arrow here to show the rest of the icons. So I can see all the stuff I have here, all of this plus this Dropbox icon here. So you want to ask yourself, what are these things, and do I need these things to load every time, to automatically start every time I start my computer? So you have Dropbox. You might want that to always be running. You might not. So it depends. Again, it depends on how you use your computer. So basically, most programs which run in the notification area will have some way to disable automatic starting. So for example, for Dropbox, if I right click Dropbox and I go to the settings icon they have, go to preferences. You can see here there's an option, start Dropbox on system startup. So I can remove that if I don't want it to start, and then that again will speed up my computer, because basically everything that runs on a computer is eating up some part of your resources. It's eating up memory, it's eating up space, RAM, a bit of processing power. So it's using some part of the processor. So everything that's running down here will be eating up some amount of your resources. So you have to really decide, do I really need this particular program to be running all the time? And of course you can just, if you just want to close it temporarily, you can just, you can usually right click whatever program it is and choose exit. So here, say I want to close Dropbox, exit that. So then I free up that memory and the CPU power it was using. So on about some poorly designed programs cannot be simply turned off. Like there's no option to, like Dropbox had the option to remove the startup, to remove it from the startups. Some programs don't have that. So these are really poorly designed programs, I would say. There's a piece of software you can use, I like to use, and this does a bit more than this. It's called CCleaner. That's short for crap cleaner, I think, but it's just called CCleaner nowadays. I will share the website to all these programs in the description of the video. And by the way, all these programs are free, so that's another little. So one of the options it has is these tools here. If you go to tools, you can see there's a startup option here, and in here you can turn off basically all programs that automatically start when your computer starts. So you can see here I have eraser, which is this one here. So if I wanted to turn that off to prevent that from starting automatically, I will simply select it here and disable, and so on for the rest of the programs. But what I would recommend is if the program itself has an option to remove it, use that. It's like Dropbox had an option, so you should use that before you use CCleaner. So CCleaner is sort of last resort. And also CCleaner can see things which are not in the notification area here, because it depends on how the program is written. Basically, the developer decides if he wants to put an icon here while the program is running. So like I have this, you can see here, Akamai Net Sessions. This is a sort of a file distribution thing that some websites use, that we need to use. For example, the NFL.com. If you want to watch NFL high quality videos, you need to run this in the background, and it sort of pulls data from different servers and stuff. So as you can see, it's not down here. So I can either disable it here, or of course you can look for it if you have it somewhere in your programs in settings. But anyway, that's how you turn off programs in the notification area. Right there again, it will free up some amount of memory, RAM, and processing power. So the next thing you want to look at is the amount of space that's left on your computer. So usually go to Start My Computer, or if you have the computer icon on your desktop, you could use that. Right, so you can see my two drives here. You can see the amount of free space I have, 70 gigs here in a 633 gig hard drive, and almost nothing here in this 65 gig hard drive. So you generally want to keep 10 to 15% free space on any hard drive you have. This is because basically as hard drives fill up, they get slower and slower. So you want to keep that 10, 15, if possible 15% cushion of free space in your hard drive. So well, if for example here I have a little more than 10%, 70 gig out of 633, here I have much less. So of course you would need to decide what can you delete on your computer. So first take a look at the recycle bin. You might want to just empty the recycle bin if that does anything for you, if you have a lot of files in there. And sorry, to get to the recycle bin, you can just type recycle bin in here, or if you have the recycle bin icon on your desktop, you can use that. So if there's anything in the recycle bin, you can try deleting that. That will free up some amount of space. So also this CCleaner program I was just showing, its main function is to clean stuff off the hard drive. So as you can see here, it has a bunch of options. You can delete Internet Explorer temporary files, Windows temporary files, and so on and so forth. And it can also delete temporary files from a lot of other applications, so Firefox browser, Chrome browser, and so on. So check whichever options you want, then do an analysis here. Analyze, click Analyze. It will take a few seconds or a minute or two, depending on the size of your hard drive and how many files you get on there. So it has finished analysis. It hasn't deleted anything yet. You can see just over 1 gig can be removed from this computer, and it's showing where to actually be removed from. So you can see here system temporary files. Almost all of it is in system temporary files, so 1 gig and something. So if you want to delete that, to remove everything, you just click here, Run Cleaner. Of course, you want to make sure you actually want to delete this stuff. So some things that some people maybe don't want to delete, so like internet history, maybe you're using that on your browser. That will delete the history from your browser, and also cookies and sessions, because so for example, if you log into Gmail and you tick the little box that says keep me logged in, that's part of the cookies and sessions. So if you clear this, you have to log into Gmail again. So you just make the choice what you want to do. So I'm gonna run the cleaner here, show a little warning here. Do you permanently want to delete? Yes. And to go through and delete those files. While it's doing that, I mean, if it's still not enough space, then you basically have to make a choice. There's probably some stuff on your computer which you don't need, so especially look for video files. Video files are huge, which are probably your biggest problem right there. Video files, then maybe music, pictures, video games are also pretty big. So it has finished cleaning up here, cleaning complete. 1400, about 1.2 gigs of stuff removed. So that there are a bunch of other tools in here you can use. Register cleaner, scan for issues here. Very good. Just gonna close that. So right, so you are like I said, you wanna clean up some space. So look at the things you have, the things you can delete. So maybe you can move them to an external hard drive. You can also look at your programs. Go to Start, Control Panel, and install a program, and to list at least some of the programs you have installed. Sometimes programs don't appear in here, so I like to sort by size here. Just click on the size to sort them by size, so I can see VMware is taking up 3 gigs here. I might want to remove that. So again, here it's up to you. What do you want to delete from your computer? So let's say you're like me and you are completely disorganized when it comes to your files. You just stick them all over the place. There's a great program called Directory Start. I have it installed here. Again, I'll give this website in the description. It's free. I'm gonna start that, and what it does, it can scan a hard drive or let me just make that small. Can scan a hard drive or any directory, and it will give you a map of all the files on your hard drive, a graphical map. It's pretty cool. Yeah, all the files on your hard drive, and you can very quickly see what's taking up the most space on your computer. So let me just scan that. This can take a while, especially this. I think it's the one. What is it? I think it's 800 gig or 700 gig hard drive. It's gonna take a while. So I'm just gonna pause the video and come back once it's complete. So you can see all the listing here. Okay, so we're finally done here with the scanning, and as you can see, what it has produced is this map here down here, and basically every rectangle down here is a file. So just by taking a quick look at this, you can immediately see where the huge files are. So you can see this is a huge file right here. You can see this is a huge file right here. So what this program helps you to do is very quickly identify where all your space is going. So right here, this I think it's my biggest file. It's 12 gig, and I can see it's a Mountain Lion. This is a Macintosh virtual machine I have installed here. So then you have to make a decision, of course. What do you want to do with the thing? Do you want to delete it, or you want to move it somewhere else, and so on. So it's a great tool to help you free up this space. And over here you can see that these colors indicate the file type. So for example, all the MP3s have a red color, and if you select them up here, you can see all the MP3s become white. So you can immediately see where all the MP3s are. Same for any other file type. Like this is a raw archive, so if I click that, it will highlight in white where all the raw archives are. So great tool. Directory Start. I'll give you the URL for that. So I'm gonna close that. So since we are talking about disks and hard drives, one more thing you might want to consider is fragmentation or defragmentation. So if you go to your computer, if you right click on one of your hard drives, go to Properties, then go to Tools, and select defragment now. Now on Windows 7, I think from Windows Vista actually, 7 and Windows 8, you don't actually need to manually do. Oh, sorry, this is. I have another. The default Windows defragmenter is fine, but I have another one installed and it's sort of taking over my. Right, so normally you would be able to click here defrag now and the defragmenter will launch, but because I have another defragmenting software installed, it's sort of taking over. But you can also go to start and type defrag here and find the disk defragmenter. This is the one that's built into Windows. This is another one. This defragler is another one you can download, but the one built into Windows is more than adequate for 99.9% of defragmentation. This defragmenter, and this thing pops up. So Windows is automatically set to defragment. Windows 7, Windows Vista and above, they do use this automatically. You can see here it's scheduled to defrag every Wednesday. So this should be on your computer. So you don't actually need to do this manually. As long as I think as you maintain that free percentage, I said maintain 10 to 15% of free space, this will run automatically and it will speed up your hard drive. So of course you can analyze your disks for fragmentation, and you can also defrag manually if you want. Now let me just try to explain what fragmentation is. Basically, this is a hard drive. This is what the inside of your hard drive probably looks like if you have a traditional hard drive, which most computers have. So when the computer is writing files to the disk, it doesn't write them continuously like that. So let's say this is one file. It doesn't write them continuously like that most of the time. What it does is it writes them in pieces a lot of the time in different places on the hard drive like that. So this is one file. It's scattered all over the hard drive. So the reason it does this is beyond this discussion, but so this is fragmentation. The file is in fragments. So what a defragmenter will do, it will rearrange these files to form one nice little continuous, as continuous as possible at least. It will try to put all the files in one place. So when you're reading from the drive, the hard drive doesn't have to skip around all over the place to read one file, and that obviously slows down the hard drive, because the way a hard drive reads, this arm here with the needle, it sort of moves up and down the hard drive, and the hard drive spins. So it obviously, if the file's in all sort of different places, it takes a lot longer to try and read the file. So this is what defragmentation does. Okay, so let's move on from the hard drive. What have I got here? Oh, maybe okay, maybe one more thing about the hard drive. You can maybe, if you're disorganized with your files, you can have duplicate files all over the hard drive, and there's software you can use to find duplicates on your hard drive. So I have one here. There are a bunch of these you can try. It's called Duplicate Cleaner, and what it does is basically it scans the hard drive for files which are the same. So let me just clean that up. So what you do is you add the drives or directories you want to scan. Let's say you want to scan the entire C drive. Gonna add it there, and then you can set your options. So you can look for any file size, or you can, because sometimes you don't want to find one kilobyte duplicate files. So you can set the minimum file size there, and then you scan your whole hard drive, and it presents a list of duplicate files, and then you choose what you want to delete or what you want to move, because a lot of the time you don't need 2 copies of the same file. Right, so I'll put a link to this too. Yes, so on the exit. Okay, moving on from the hard drive. Okay, so to keep your computer running well, you want to have an antivirus installed. So I'm not gonna go on and on about which is the best. I don't think there is a best, but I use Microsoft Security Essentials. So this is a free antivirus provided by Microsoft, and I think it's the best. I mean, it's the best one I've ever used. At least it's great. It's very low resources, which is what you want, because a lot of antiviruses out there, you install them and they make your computer slow by themselves. They just eat up RAM and they keep hitting the hard drive all the time. So it's this one is great. It's once you've installed this, you never have to check on it again. I mean, it works beautifully. So with any antivirus, but obviously you can use any antivirus you like, but whichever you choose, make sure you keep it updated. So here you can see I've been a little late with my antivirus updates, because antiviruses are not intelligent. Basically, they recognize viruses by their signature, so they have to keep receiving updates from the antivirus creator on how to recognize a file which is infected by a virus. So always make sure your update settings are turned on and you're receiving regular updates. So you have to connect to the internet and it's gonna receive those updates. Yeah, so that's about that. Right, so the next thing you want to do in Windows is make sure Windows itself is up to date. So meaning you are getting the updates from Microsoft. So these are Windows updates. So, and what these do is both improve the performance of your programs. It fixes bugs, and also it protects you from viruses and so forth. So Microsoft regularly fixes any security holes which are found in Windows. So this combined with your antivirus, you should be pretty much good to go. So what you want to do is go to Start here, type in Windows Update, launch that. You can also find that through Control Panel if you really want to. Right, so you want to go here and change settings and make sure you have some sort of regular check enabled. So I have check for updates, but let me choose when you want to install. If you have the problem for me is I don't have a decent internet connection, so I have to sort of moderate when my computer is going out over the internet. So for most people, I would recommend install updates automatically, which is the recommended one by Microsoft. So I would choose that for most situations, unless you have some sort of reason not to do that. So keep that there. Press OK. And of course you can check manually. So once you've set it to do automatically to whatever you're connected to the internet, it will periodically check for updates and it will download them and it will install them for you. So you can also manually check for updates. I'm not connected to the internet right now, but you can do that manually. And once you do, you will receive what are called critical updates and recommended updates. So I mean, these are pretty self-explanatory. Critical should be installed. Recommended, it depends on what you want to do. So, right, so that's Windows Update. Right, so let's come to an important piece of today's computing. I mean, what most people, probably 90% of computer usage is using the web browser. So whichever web browser you use, make sure you keep it updated. So again, this is gonna both fix bugs in the browser and improve security in the browser. So this is Internet Explorer 11. Internet Explorer is updated through Windows Update. So check for Internet Explorer in there in the I think it's in the optional updates. Check for I believe the latest release version is version 9 or 10. This is version 11, but you have to sort of go out of your way to get version 11, because this is an early preview. It's not the final release version yet. So what you want to do, maybe go into About. You can check the version here. So this is 11. You can I believe from Internet Explorer 9 or 10, they made this option here. You can install new versions automatically. So if you check that, whenever a new version is available, to download them automatically and update the browser, so you don't have to do anything. And this is the common thing now. Chrome does this, and Firefox also does this. So a modern browser will basically protect you from bad sites. So they have a lot of security built into them. They, if you go to some virus site, it will pop up a warning most of the time. Don't go there, and things like that. So if you're using Internet Explorer, you should be on at least version 9, but probably version 10. So that's that. This Firefox over here. Let me see if I can launch that. I don't have Chrome, unfortunately, but the same thing. Chrome actually updates automatically, so you should be on the latest version of Chrome always. Again, if you go to About Firefox, if you're connected to the internet and there's an update, it will show up here. But again, Firefox will also install automatically the latest version of the browser. This is the way they decided to go with it nowadays. So about the browser, a lot of browsers nowadays you can put add-ons. You can add add-ons onto the browser. So these are basically like little programs that install inside the browser to help you do some particular tasks. So on Firefox, if I go to Tools, go to Add-ons, I can see the list of add-ons which I have installed. So you want to be a little wary with these, because basically every add-on is some sort of program running, an additional little program running on your computer, and it can sometimes it can cause problems with your browser. So you want to minimize these as much as you can. Or maybe, let's say I'm not, for example, this Firebag right here. This is if you want to do web design and something like that, you can install this. But I'm not always doing web design, so you might want to disable this when you're not actually using it. So things like that. The same for Same for Internet Explorer. I think they're called add-ons actually. Here, manage add-ons, and here it will pop up a list of add-ons, so you can enable and disable them. The same goes for toolbars. So toolbars are those things, those ugly things which come up here once you install them. So there's a Google search toolbar, Alta Vista, something, Bonsai Body. Those you should be very wary of. They usually screw up your computer pretty badly. So I would avoid toolbars pretty much always at all costs. And again, they usually uninstalled in the same way. If they're legit toolbars, they're uninstalled in the same way as plugins. Now, let's say you've installed some malware has gotten onto your computer, or you've installed one of those strange toolbars that you can't easily get rid of. If you're using Firefox or Internet Explorer, you can reset the entire browser. So in Internet Explorer, you go to the settings, to the tools, go to Internet Options, go to Advanced, and you will see there's a reset button here. So if you press this, it will clean everything out of your browser and try to restore it to like it's freshly installed. So it will remove toolbars, extensions, any type of thing that could be affecting the performance of your browser. But again, here you want to be careful if you're using things like saved passwords in your browser. Maybe I'm not sure if it removes bookmarks, but just make sure you've backed up important things like saved passwords, because I know a lot of people don't remember their passwords. Just let their browser manage them. Firefox has a similar feature here. So what you do is you go to File, you go to Help, you go to Troubleshooting Information, and there's a Reset Firefox button here. Again, this does the same thing, removes all extensions, all toolbars, or stuff like that. It tries not to remove, Firefox, I know for sure, it tries not to remove your passwords and your bookmarks, but I would back those up just in case. Right, so that's about it for your browser there. Oh, Chrome. I don't have Chrome, but I have Komodo here, which is based on the same code that Chrome is based on. Chrome has this cool feature called Task Manager. So I don't know why I'm getting this Wunderlist thing here. So if you go to this tools or in your Chrome browser, and you see there's a task manager here, and what this does is pretty cool. It shows all of the running stuff in the browser. So if you have an extension running like Flashbook here, it shows the amount of CPU it's using. It shows how much of the network it's using. So it shows how much memory it's taking up. So if a plugin is misbehaving, you can very quickly see that it's eating up your CPU right here, or it's eating up a lot of memory. So this is a pretty very useful feature if you use a lot of extensions. I've noticed like some extension like Gmail offline, sometimes they sort of go crazy and they start eating up 50-60% of the CPU. And if you find it out, you can come in here and you can click on whatever the problem is, and you can end it. So you can end an extension, or you can end sometimes a browser tab gets stuck. You can click on that and end it, so it just closes that particular tab. It's pretty cool. I think that's only available in Chrome too. Right, so another thing about browsers is you want to update the Flash player. Always keep it up to date. Whenever you install a Flash player, there's usually, I wonder if I can get it. No, when you install Flash player, there's an option to automatically install updates. So just like Windows updates. So I would recommend you do that. Let it automatically install the latest one, because they fix bugs and they fix security holes and improve performance and things like that. So I would set that to automatically update. Okay, so one last very nice tool which is built into Windows 7 and I believe Vista into Windows 8. It's called Resource Monitor. So go to Start again, type in Resource Monitor. You can start there. If you're one of those people who doesn't have set up his Start menu not to have this search field, highly recommend you put that back. But otherwise, you can go to, I believe it's under Accessories, System Tools. Yeah, it's right there, Resource Monitor. So just find that. Right, so again, don't get too confused. There's a lot of stuff going on, but it's pretty self-explanatory with the name Resource Monitor. It monitors the use of your resources on your computer, and by this I mean CPU, memory, the hard drive, the disk, and the network, so the internet connection basically. So what you can do here, I mean, this is my favorite tool really. This is what I usually go for, because sometimes you're using your computer and you see that it's your hard drive, you have that little hard drive icon on your laptop, and you can see that it's spinning and spinning for no reason. So what's going on? Immediately I launch this and I go to the disk, and you can immediately see what is eating up, what is reading from the hard drive, what is writing from the hard drive, and you can also arrange this from highest to lowest, lowest to highest. So it's pretty cool. Now you can immediately see this trusted installer is doing something, but so obviously sometimes you don't know what this even is. I don't even know what this is, trusted installer. I've looked it up before. It's some sort of Windows thing, so at least I know it's legit. It's supposed to be there. It's not some sort of virus or some weird program behaving badly. I can see it's accessing the page file, which is like the temporary, the virtual RAM, virtual memory the computer sometimes has to use. So I can see that's fine. If it's some program you're using. So for example, if I go to CPU here, so for example this E screen, I can see it's eating up 26% of the CPU. So this is the screen recorder I'm using right now, so I know that's fine also. It should be there. So basically this is what you want to ask yourself. Should this thing be chewing through my CPU? Should it be using up so much RAM? Should it be hitting the disk or using the network? So for example, I have this video conversion program here, and video conversion eats up a lot of CPU. So I'm gonna start this, and hopefully you can see it jump to the top there, memcoder. So if I wasn't actually converting a video, I would immediately see, hey, something is eating up the CPU. You can of course I would recommend you investigate. If you find something that you don't know of that's eating the CPU, I recommend you investigate what it is first. So you can right click this and search online for the name, and usually you'll find some sort of information, or just type this into Google. Or you can also right click this and end the process. You can kill the process right there. But I'm just gonna go back to my program and stop the conversion here, and this should start to disappear. Right, and also here, because it was reading the video file from the disk and writing to the disk, you can see it's jumped to the top also. Right, so that's the last of our software, I think, as far as I'm concerned. That's it for software. Now, what can you do about the hardware on your computer? Let's say you sort of you've done all this and you can still see your computer is really not that great. So what can you do hardware wise? The best thing you can do for your computer is increase the amount of RAM you have. Performance shoots up as soon as you increase the RAM. Performance usually goes up pretty well. So how do you figure out how much RAM your computer can take? Because you can't just put there are different types of RAM, and each computer can take a different amount of RAM depending on the motherboard, basically. So there's a great site called Crucial manufacturers. So crucial.com, type that in. My internet is very slow. Right, so there are manufacturers, and they have this great tool which you can sort of figure out which RAM you need. So if you have a computer which you have a manufacturer and a model name, you can simply select them here. So let's see, I have an Acer laptop. So to pop up the models after you've selected the manufacturer. So what is this? This is an Aspire notebook. Alright. Just because my internet is very slow, it should work much better for you. You find the model name somewhere on your computer, usually on the sticker, or it's written near the screen somewhere. So I have a 5742G is my particular model of Aspire. Find it. 5742 G, this one right there is mine. Find it. So you can of course buy it from them. I think they have decent prices and good RAM. So if you are one of those lucky countries where online shopping is a thing, you can buy it right there from them. Or you can simply, it gives you the information right here, what type of RAM and how much RAM this computer can take. So I can see my computer can take a maximum of 8 gigs, and it has 2 slots, 2 places to insert RAM on my laptop. So, and it tells you of course which type of RAM you need. So DDR3, PC, any of these basically will work. Right, so you can check how much RAM you actually have on your computer. What you want to do is click on Start here, Computer, right click that and select Properties, and you can see here I have 6 gigs of installed RAM. Now you need to be on Windows on a, where is this? Trying to find it. Yeah, see, system type 64-bit operating system. If you're on a 32-bit operating system, then you cannot use more than 3.5 gigs of RAM. There are some crazy workarounds for that out there, but technically if you're on a 32-bit operating system, you'll only be able to use a maximum of 3.5, I think, about 3.5 gigs of RAM. So even if you insert 8 gigs, it will just use 3.5. So yeah, make sure you don't buy more RAM than your computer can use. Right, so you can, you can buy it here. Of course, that would be the thing to do. Or you can take these specs and go to your local, I don't know, Best Buy or something, and buy yourself. So here it explains the thing about the 32-bit version. Can only use about 3.5 gigs of RAM. Right, so that's the best thing you can do for your computer. Get more RAM. Next to that, you can get a either bigger or better hard drive. So hard drives differ in speed. So I think they count this in RPMs. So how fast the drive spins, basically. I think it's revolutions per minute. So you can get a drive that spins faster, or you can get a completely different type of drive called an SSD drive. And what this is basically is these are a new type of hard drive without the spinning part. So they're sort of like those memory sticks you have. So they use flash memory, and they're very fast. So for example, just on Crucial right here, it recommends some SSDs here. So this is a 240 gig 2.5 inch, so it's a laptop one. It's almost $200. So the thing you'll notice about SSD hard drives is they're very expensive compared to regular hard drives. So this is Amazon 250 gig one is $165. So you have to decide for yourself, because for me, for example, I'm using up almost 600 gigabytes here. So if I were to replace my hard drive with this one, I would have to make some sacrifice about what I keep on my computer. So, but they are blazingly fast. You can go on YouTube, check comparison videos, SSD versus HD. You'll see a lot of people. Your computer will start very quickly. Your programs load lightning fast. Let's just see a comparison here. It's $165 for 250 gig. Let's see a regular hard drive. This is a poor comparison. So this is 3 terabyte for 122. So this is the wrong size, but let me see. So you're gonna give up a lot of space for speed, basically, if you go with an SSD, and it's gonna cost you more money. So yeah, there's always that to consider. This is 750 for $75. So I mean, they are much more expensive. Now there is a thing called a hybrid hard drive. So let me see. The Momentous. This is the one I have. Yes, this is the one. So as you can see on the picture, they say SSD plus HDD. So it tries to combine the best of both worlds. It has a bit of SSD memory and a lot of traditional hard disk space. So this one is 750. I forget how much of it is SSD. But what it does basically, is it moves the most commonly used data into the SSD. So you get this sort of performance boost, because your regularly used data is on the SSD, so it gets called up quickly, but you can still get the storage space of a regular hard drive, and it's transparent to you. As far as you are concerned, it's transparent. It just looks like a normal hard drive to your computer, so it's pretty cool. Right, so that's about it. I mean, if you have a desktop computer, then you want to play high-end games, then you might want to consider getting a better graphics card. But for laptops like mine, you can't really upgrade your graphics card. So they're called GPUs, graphics processing units. So you can investigate. I mean, these are This is a whole other story. How to pick the best one and so on depends on the price and what type of games you want to play. Just Google that, and you might want to consider upgrading if you play games on a desktop. Right, so almost forgot. You can actually upgrade your processor on desktop computers. So this is the actual thing that does the calculations on your computer. So the heart or the brains of the computer. So this is basically on desktops. At least as far as I remember, it's pretty much impossible to upgrade the processor on a laptop. So this depends on a lot of things. So you can't just buy any processor and expect it to go into any desktop. You have to check the motherboard you have, check the type of processor you already have, check the type of socket it uses. So make sure these are compatible processors that can be interchanged. So I would Google for that information if I were you. I would Google the type of processor you already have and look at some new processor out there and see if they are compatible with your motherboard. So one last tip here, there's a great little program called Specky. This is made by the same guys that make CCleaner, and it gives you your computer specs basically. So your motherboard information, the RAM you have, the CPU you have. So if you were to upgrade, this can be pretty useful. You can click all of these and to tell you, what your chipset is, what your manufacturer is, and so that way it can help you out in figuring out how you're gonna do the upgrade. Right. So I think that's it. Thank you very much, and leave a comment, upvote, subscribe. Thank you.